what's the importance of a good balanced diet and also nutritional supplements at this critical time?
I've not really gone much on nutritional supplements at all, but I have read an awful lot, as you all do when you get diagnosed, about things like turmeric as a spice. It's supposed to start blood vessels to cancer cells, ginger, watercress, camphorol chemical in things like broccoli, although that doesn't agree with me at all. And so I think you follow a diet which is as healthy as you possibly can. But I think that's also got something to do with control as well, because you then think you're taking action to control and to be in charge of your disease. You read up all this stuff, you absorb it, and you try to do everything that you possibly can. I mean, I read somewhere there was an ovarian cancer diet, and it said you must have some fish or other, and then it was endive and a couple of other things, onions. You must have a half a cup of onions a day, raw, and all that kind of thing. So I tried all that, and my eyes were glowing like mad, and really shiny and everything. But unfortunately, because of the nature of my ovarian cancer, it has caused a few problems. So I think it's really important to actually speak to your oncologist and your surgeon, the people who really know about your cancer,
yes,
before you actually.
So that's very sensible, because sometimes people can give very hard and fast rules. And to be honest, they're not tested scientifically. They're based on opinion.
Yes.
Maybe they did help that person, which is no
Yes.
harm in relaying it to others.
Yes.
And what you said earlier is actually quite important, that even if it wasn't scientifically proven to alter your disease course, the fact is, by eating a healthy diet, you're not doing any harm generally,
Yes.
except you might check it out if there was a specific problem.
Yeah.
And further, you're taking control over what is generally a difficult environment where a lot of things are being done to you. So
Yes,
if you can do something that you're in control of, if you emotionally and psychologically feel a lot better for that.
Absolutely. I think you've got to be really careful though when you're having chemotherapy. I drink a lot of soya milk, and I actually was drinking soya milk, and then I read somewhere that it interacted, I think it was with paclitaxel, and I think grapefruit is really, you've got to be really careful with that as well, because I don't think that agrees with a hell of a lot of drugs that are around, so you've got to be really careful with that. But providing you're really sensible about it. But I must admit, I have read a lot of books on this, and there is one book in particular called Anti-Cancer by Dr. David Seven-Schreiber, and he actually fought brain tumours for several years. The book is fascinating. Even if you don't have cancer, it's fascinating. He was going into the fact that a lot of these cancers were so much on the increase since World War II, since lots of chemicals have been introduced into our environment, electromagnetic radiations, processed foods, all sorts of things. And he's basically said that he feels that that's got a lot to do with it. Not in my case, because mine's a genetic cancer, and not many are genetic, but certainly in lifestyle cancers, most definitely.
Oh, that's fascinating.
But one observation I did make, and perhaps I shouldn't say this, but I was taking wheatgrass powder, and between the time that I was diagnosed to the point that I started chemotherapy, and I fib not, the swelling in my legs went down in that period of time.
It's a good tip. If it helps others, they could try it. Some of the foods you mentioned are so-called superfoods. They have a lot of properties which fill most nutritional groups, if you like.
Yeah.
Like watercress.
Yes.
So-called superfood. So presumably eating healthy in general is generally a good thing to do anyway. So
absolutely, yes. But I must admit though, having said that, there were certain periods of time during the chemotherapy where there is no way I could have touched a watercress or anything. It's white bread, it's all the low residue stuff, and there is no way you could even digest it because your system is so...
Did you have periods where your appetite was very low?
Oh gosh, yes. And I had periods of time where I was living on fortisips and that kind of thing.
Because you needed a supplement, because you weren't taking enough nutrition in otherwise?
Absolutely, I was just being sick.
Just out of interest, what is your opinion of fortisip and other nutritional supplements? I mean, some people hate them, some people can manage them.
They taste absolutely revolting. Doesn't matter what flavour you get, they are pretty pants, but they are crucial for maintaining. I lose weight really quickly once I start losing weight. It only takes me a week to lose a stone, just like that.
Yeah.
So they are your life force, really, when you just can't handle anything else. And quite often during your cancer treatment, you really can't handle anything else. You know, there are several times where I was sick 7 or 8 times a day. You just couldn't get out of bed. It's just awful.
You know, the fortisip is almost like an artificial food with all the components in one body.
Yes.
But you know, there's other types of nutritional supplements. For example, you can have desserts which are fortified.
Oh, brilliant.
So that if fortisip itself is not palatable,
right,
you can have like a mousse which is enhanced, or another dessert which generally people don't mind eating desserts and sweet foods.
Yes.
And if you make them nutritionally balanced, then they can be actually used as a food supplement.
They could be really good.
Yeah.
Then
so it's not. I'm just saying, nutritional supplements are not just about the fortisip. But I take your point. Often those old school ones are a bit hard to palate, let's say.
Yes, they are. But they're lifesavers, actually.
If you need them, then you need them, in a way.
Yeah. But I think one strong piece of advice that I would give to anybody who does tend to lose weight quite quickly anyway is before you start your chemo, just eat loads. Put on a few pounds, because the treatment is hard.
That's
and you do lose a lot
of weight,
and it's quite frightening.